G'day. Welcome to the Buffer Zone. I'm going to be chatting today a little bit about your heating options. I get asked quite a bit, what's the best way to heat my pool? And to be honest with you, there are pros and cons to all methods of heating. It's just a matter of finding the one that is the best solution for you. So I'm just going to try and deconstruct 4 of the main heating options that are available today. There are other options, a lot more expensive, or even some that are cheaper. But I'm going to go through the 4 main ones at the moment, and any other ones, you're probably going to have to do a little bit more detailed research on those because while I could explain it to you, it's far more complex. So let's start with the most basic. What you can get these days and have been on the market for a long time is solar covers, solar blankets. Okay, this sort of bubble sort of material here. Now, let's start with the pros of that product. The pros would be that it is quite cost effective, first of all. Second of all, it will stop evaporation on your swimming pool. And third of all, there's no running costs. Okay, but you're not going to be able to set a temperature, for instance, with a cover. What will happen with the cover on is when there's a bit of heat around, it'll increase the temperature of the pool by a couple of degrees. Okay, so it's not a solution if you want to have the pool at say 28 degrees all year round. That's not going to solve that for you. It'll just take the edge off a little bit and it'll reduce evaporation, or actually it'll stop evaporation altogether. The great thing about a cover, another pro, is that if you marry it up with another heating solution, it will drastically reduce your running costs of that other heating solution. So let's say you want something at 28 degrees all year and you decide for gas or solar, or solar's not going to do that. Let's say you go for gas or electric heat pumps, then having a cover in conjunction with that option is going to drastically reduce your running costs. Okay, so let's look at a couple of the cons for that. A con in particular would be that a lot of people just don't like the way it looks. You know, if you've got a cover on your pool, you don't get the full benefits of lights at night time, for instance, or if it stays on for a while and it rains, you can get little puddles of water forming on the top of it, and they can go a little bit brown and dusty and look a little bit dirty. So the appearance would be a big con. And the second one would be the fact that you have to pull it on and off. So generally speaking, you would have a roller at the end of the pool that you would, if you wanted to buy an automatic one, you could obviously do that, but cost goes up exponentially when you do that. But if you had a roller, you have to roll the thing up and put it back out again. So what I actually find is a lot of people that buy these bubble covers, eventually, especially if they use the pool a lot, sort of get sick of using the cover and they sort of stay rolled up at one end of the pool. So that's something to consider. You know, if you think you're going to be diligent with it, then by all means, but if you're not, then it's a lot of the time they just sort of get rolled up one end and don't get used. Okay, so second, let's talk about solar heating. Now, this is the old traditional solar matting. Okay, you can see it's black and it'll cover, generally speaking, the surface area of your pool is what you need on the roof in this black matting. Okay, so obviously appearance is going to be something that might be a concern for you if you can be seen from the street, or your neighbours are going to be looking right down on it. They might not be particularly happy. But so that would probably be one of the cons. Another con would be that, again, you can't just set the temperature and expect that it's going to get there, especially during the winter time. You should not, depending on the climate you live in, you probably won't get the temperature that you want out of the pool all year round. Especially we're based in Sydney. It's fair to say that from May onwards, you have little to no effect from the solar heating right through till about September. You know, we sometimes get a burst of warm weather in September and it picks it up a little bit, but while the nights are still cold, especially without a cover on, you might find that you struggle to get the temperature you want. So it's also possible that in the middle of summertime we get a week of rain or we get a cold snap, which sometimes happens, and then the temperature also won't be maintained there. So that again is another con. It's not a set and forget system. It really does depend on the temperature around. So pros about the solar heating though are that it's cheap to run. Very cheap running. All you've got to pay for is your pump. Normally a half or 3/4 horsepower will do the job depending on the setup, and it will only turn on when the temperature on the roof is hot enough for there to be a gain in temperature in the pool. So it's not going to be running all day to heat the pool. Once it gets the temperature, probably only needs to run an hour or 2 a day to maintain that temperature, and so that is one of the major pros for solar heating. Okay, so that in itself is one of those things. If you're weighing up whether or not it's the right thing for you, then I guess you need to consider whether it's super important to you to have a set temperature all year. Because if it is, or at least for the swimming season, if it is, then solar might not be for you. So if you just want something that'll take the edge off the chill and maybe top out at 28 or 30 degrees on extreme heat waves or anything like that, then solar might work out for you. So you just got to weigh that up. Don't expect though that you can turn it on 2 days before a birthday party in November and the pool's going to get the temperature. It doesn't work like that. Okay, so moving on to the next type, we'll look at gas heating. Now gas for many years was the preferred method of heating because it was reliable, quite cheap to run, and I wouldn't say it was instant, but you could turn the gas heater on the day before you want to use the pool, and the pool should be able to get to a pretty good temperature, assuming that the heater's been spec'd out the right size. So what has changed of late is gas pricing though. Gas has become more expensive, so as a result, gas heating's more expensive. Now, if you're looking for a solution, let's say you've got a pool spa combination and you want to be able to heat your spa up within an hour, then realistically you're going to have to go for gas. If you're looking for a solution, if you're not the sort of people that use the pool every day or every couple of days throughout the year and you just really want to heat it up for parties or functions, then gas might be the best option for you because you can turn it on the day before a party, heat it up, use it, and then turn it off again and wait till the next time you want to use it. Now, if you want to turn it on, say, October and run it right through till April every year, Australia's Southern Hemisphere summer, then it can be quite an expensive way to run. So you just need to decide whether or not you're the sort of person that's going to use it all summer, or if you're the sort of person that's just going to want to use it occasionally, or if you just have a spa attached to your pool and you want to be able to heat that spa up. So again, cost-wise, installation is not cheap, and especially if you've got to get gas down to wherever the pool area is, not cheap at all, but it has its benefits. And lastly, we'll look at electric heat pumps. So don't confuse these with electric element heaters. Electric element heaters are basically like a large kettle, super expensive to run. We're not talking about those, we're talking about electric heat pumps. They're basically like an air conditioning unit. Now these are cheap to run in comparison to gas, but they do take a while to heat the pool up. So the idea between an electric heat pump generally would be if you've got a young family and you know the kids are going to be in the pool every day after school, for instance, and you want to capture that bonus of being able to swim from, say, October through till April or May and the pool be at the same temperature every day, then an electric heat pump is probably the cheapest way to do it, apart from solar. So electric heat pump, like I said, could take 2, 3, 4 days to heat the pool up, but then you run the filter at normal hours and it should maintain that temperature for you. So you'll have the benefit of the right temperature all the time at a lower cost. So, however, if you're looking at it like you would if you wanted to put a gas heater in, if you're looking for something that you can turn on one day and be swimming the next, say you're not using the pool all year round, then electric heat pump's probably not for you. You need to go and consider something along the lines of gas. Hopefully this hasn't been too confusing for you, but I dare say that if you had a good chat with your local pool professional, they'd be able to give you a really good summary on what might suit your needs best. So hopefully this is just a bit of an overview and you can move on and hopefully use that information to have a chat with your local pool professional and they can give you a more detailed guide and maybe some pricing options, running costs and all that sort of stuff. Thanks for coming past the buffer zone. Hopefully we'll see you again soon.